So I am joined here with Ann Lepore, the owner and operator of the MachineShopRocks.com. Ann, you have been on the show a couple times this year. We had you on as a fill-in co-host while Dylan was moving for the Cat Bite episode. And then we had you on for our first official Best Worst Over Under, where we talked about Susie and the Banshees. So welcome back to Punk Lotto Pod.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here as always. Thank you.
I was trying to remember, is this the third year we've had you contribute your picks?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think it was, 2 years ago we started doing this, like getting our guests' opinions on what came out this year. So you're my last one to get the list from.
I'm a busy lady. Hard to pin me down.
Yeah, it's been, Christmas break was, supposed to be a little relaxing. And then I wound up giving myself way more work for the podcast than if I'd just been going to school. But here we are.
And then both of us are students who start back to school next week.
Yeah, so right back into the thick of it. But
yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying my stuff. So, well, of course, we're gonna ask you what your favorite records of the year are, and I don't know, what order do you want to go in? Do you want to go with? Do you want to save the big one for last, or do you want to do them first?
I think, let's save it for last.
Okay.
Yeah, let's save it for last.
You sent me a couple things for us to look at, so what do you want to start off with here?
Let's start with, we can just start the way I kind of sent you the list. Let's talk about Alien Nosejob. Alien Nosejob, Paint It Clear. This was a late in the year one for me. I'm not sure exactly when it came out. It was late, but it became one of my favorite things to listen to immediately as soon as I heard it. I think I accidentally discovered them just from suggestions on Spotify. And I do want to say, there's always the hotbed of discussion about Spotify. Everyone who knows me and follows me on social media knows that I am a humongous supporter of bands, and I spend lots of money on t-shirts and records and physical purchases, CDs, cassettes. So I do not mind listening to Spotify and using it as a way to find and discover wonderful new things. And then I buy the product after I do that. So that is my little Spotify spiel. But so I discovered Alien Nosejob on Spotify, and then I immediately ordered their record. I shouldn't say that I also ordered their shirt because I haven't done them yet. But they're coming up literally any day. It could even be today because I don't really plan ahead. So
yeah.
So I ordered their record from their Bandcamp from Australia. They are from Australia. And I just think they really fit my kind of music. They're my kind of thing. A little bit hard to pin down the kind of style, but it's I don't know. Let me think about it. What do you think when you listen to it?
So, I listened to this one this year too, and I was really trying to remember how I came across it. Oh, okay. I found it through Feel It Records. That's how I got a hold of it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because they put out a couple other records this year that I listened to. That Silicon Prairie record. Actually, they put a lot of stuff out I listened to this year. Wow, I did not realize I listened to 6 of their records this year. So I listen to a lot of their stuff. Yeah, when I listen to it, it kind of fits in with the label's sound, but also it's kind of hard to really narrow that sound down. It's like it's kind of arty, some synthy stuff in there, little Devo-y, but also like a little kind of like quirkier. Like I don't know, they're really kind of hard to like pinpoint like what their exact sound is.
Yeah, and like on one thing that I looked up, it says it actually says no specific genre. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say like maybe sort of an intersection of like synth punk and garage punk.
Yeah, it works.
Sort of synthy garage punk, garagey synth. And those things don't even work. But I think if anybody's kind of trying to get an idea, like, well, do I think I'd like that? If you like those things, you will definitely like this. It's I just think it's fantastic from start to finish. Great, like just great fun, like jittery, twitchy, exactly the kind of stuff I like. I was really excited when I heard them. I think it's more might be more of a person.
Is it like a solo sort of project there?
Yeah, let's see. Solo project of Jake Robertson of Australian punk bands such as Oz Mutants, who I've also like, and Hierophants. I'm probably saying all these names wrong. Another band I also like, Leather Towel and Swab. I don't know those two bands.
No. I remember when I listened to it, I was like, I bet Ann likes this.
Totally. So yeah, that's like a great new one, a new discovery for me. They have other stuff out. It looks like. So
yeah, definitely. They have quite a few records. It looks like.
Yeah. So this is the only thing I have so far. So I will definitely be deep diving further into Alien Nosejob, and I totally recommend anybody who likes that kind of stuff. Like I said, like a jittery, synthy, garagey punk.
Yeah,
go for it. Yeah, man, they're cool. The next thing on my list was the new Dinosaur Jr. album, Sweep It Into Space. I love Dinosaur Jr. from the beginning of time, like the very first time I heard them. So long ago when they were just Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And I saw them right at the beginning, earliest days as an opener when they were still Dinosaur, and I just immediately loved them. Probably in just their first year of existence. So I've been with them all this time. I never left. I think they've had like up dips, but they've never like been bad ever. They're a band that I feel like has just consistently been good always. But this new album, holy cow, this is like a super high. Like they've like majorly swung high. The minute I turned it on, I was like, what? Like it felt like the classic Junior sound, but it's like current. It's I don't think there's like super tons to say beyond that. Just if you love the earliest stuff, like if you love Bug, and maybe you thought they got a little soft in some later days, which I mean I don't mind that the ways they've gone, but I think that if you like went away from them, you should come back to this album.
I think it was Paul Chichio, who runs Tor Johnson Records. He also picked this record for his.
I saw it in the photos. I saw the picture of it in his too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and I know for a fact that we have quite a few friends that also are really big Dinosaur Jr. fans who loved this record too. So if this was one of those, if you took all of everyone's lists and kind of compiled them together and picked all the ones that multiple people selected, this would probably be in like the top 5, just because a lot of people, what do you call that, a cumulative score almost of
yeah. Oh, this is something I'll be doing in my class, test measurement research. Yeah, right. It's gonna get like extra points for being on so many lists,
right?
Yeah, it's just really solidly great from beginning to end. It gave me like that like kind of swelled up heart full feeling listening to it. Like I said, I've stuck with them. I love Jay's solo stuff. I managed to see them in the short time I saw bands for like 2 months, and now everything's canceled again.
Yeah.
And they were great as always. So yeah, I think if anybody's kind of like gone away from them for many years, I'd say this is the record to bring you back.
Yeah, that little window where I went to one show in that window and kind of regret that I didn't. There's one that I want to go to soon that hasn't been canceled yet, but I'm waiting to make the decision on that one. But
when is it actually?
It's actually like not next week, but the week after. So we'll see. They're on like a whole tour, so we'll see if the tour gets canceled halfway through, but hope not.
Oh my gosh, I need to like interrupt this conversation to say that I was finally going to see Catbite on Friday night and it got canceled.
Yeah.
And I was so excited because it was like Catbite and Jer from Scotttoon Network, who like I have a super I feel like I love Jer like I'm like a fairy godmother. Like I want to know Jer and be like I want to be like, you're like queer auntie, I just think they're amazing, and I really wanted to see them. And I really want to see Catbite, and my friend's band was opening, but hopefully it'll get rescheduled till another time.
It probably will. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but
yeah. All right, sorry I had that interruption.
No.
So that's all I have to say about Dinosaur Jr. It's great. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that they're really like soaring to that height.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. Are you a Dino Jr. person?
So they're a band that I've never really tried to dive on. I've never listened to any of their records all the way through. Like they're one of those bands. I know tons of people who cite them as influences, and just for whatever reason, I've never really taken to them.
Interesting. Well, maybe someday. What's next on my list? My next thing on the list was Neighborhood Brats, Confines of Life. Did you know this record before I told you about it?
So I recognize the album artwork, maybe from you posting about the record.
Yeah.
But I wasn't familiar with the band before. I listened to it and I was like, "Whoa, this is great. This is really fun." Like, how do you describe it? It's like,
I think it's just like really straight up punk. Like,
yeah.
Just with no kind of special, it's right. Just solid punk with the California style. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Very straight ahead sort of. Like, I feel like if you called it anything other than punk, it would be weird. Like, I don't think that you could throw any other kind of like descriptors on top of it other than just like catchy, kind of melodic, kind of, I wouldn't say aggressive, but fast.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about this band.
Yeah, I discovered them also like this year, and then I picked up like everything I could, like all their records, because I was like, okay, I need all of these records. And this is also like on a label that's been doing a lot of good stuff lately. What label is this on? It's on Dirt Cult Records.
Oh, okay, yeah, Dirt Cult.
They have become like one of my favorite labels in the past like year and a half. They just put out fantastic stuff. And they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
but I just like kind of suddenly was like jumping on the dirt cult train. So sorry that I'm like a latecomer, but I'm singing their praises now.
They put out 2 other records that I really liked this year. That Needles and Pins record I really enjoyed, and the Postage record, which is kind of like a comp, but yeah, both those records I really liked. That came out this year from them.
The Needles and Pins, somehow I kept seeing it on people posted about it a lot, and for some reason I did not pick that one up. So that's like, I'm definitely going to get that like in the next couple of weeks for sure, because everybody has been talking about how great it is.
Yeah, it's like that. Like their earlier stuff kind of has like a toy guitar kind of Hot Snakes little thing going on there, but this record has a lot more. It's a lot more melodic, and it kind of fits in with the. They hate the term orgcore, but like that's kind of the lane that it sounds like it comes out of. Like it's just kind of like gruff melodic.
I don't think I know that. I don't know this. You're teaching me something.
It was really applicable to bands like Hot Water Music and like Against Me in the beginning, Lawrence Arms early on. Like that's the kind of band that got that label, but it's not like a specific sound.
And what is really, it like? What are they trying to say with that label?
So it's basically if fans of the website punknews.org would have enjoyed these bands. So that's kind of like where the org core thing comes from. Some people call it beard punk, but
that feels pretty loose to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's super just like time and place specific thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why they don't like the term too, because it doesn't really refer to any one specific thing, but just a very melodic record, kind of crunchy. Yeah, it's a good record.
Well, Neighborhood Brats are just like straight up like true punk. Great. Just a great energy, like high energy, like yeah. Like I would love to see them live. I think they would be really great to see live. And they're current, they play, so and I think this is their 3rd album. So like I said, I like scooped up everything I could after I heard this.
Yeah, it's a really good one. That's probably out of the ones you sent me, this was like the big find for me. So yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Very happy to introduce you to new things. And that you like them as opposed to saying, ew, that sucked. Well, moving on to my next thing is the band called Smirk. And this one is fun because this has been like kind of maybe a year for like labels, kind of like me finding things from labels. So I guess is this Drunken Sailor, or is that just in the UK, and is it on a different label here in the US? I think
it's on Feel It in the States too.
Oh, right. So Drunken Sailor and Feel It, I guess, must have like a kind of like a relationship where maybe kind of co-release things or. So yeah, Feel It is great, as we discussed, and I think I was just kind of going down a Feel It, Drunken Sailor rabbit hole, and I found the Smirk. So yeah, I found Smirk from Feel It and Drunken Sailor, and I was like, what? This is so awesome! And I immediately ordered their record from their Bandcamp, and they are like. They kind of describe themselves on their on their website as like early Danger House records, Bloodstains, across comp kind of sounding stuff, like just like kind of like proto early, like almost like proto punk, like early Killed by Death kind of sounding stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of jangly, but like real fuzzy.
Trebly, definitely.
Yeah. Like, and then like the vocals have that kind of garagey sort of effect on them. Yeah, I think I don't remember if I listened to this when it came out. I definitely saw the album cover when it came out. But I listened to it again, getting ready for recording with you, and I was like, oh wow. Like, it was one of those ones that I put on while I was doing something else, and then like by the time I was over, I was like, oh, I finished the whole thing. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a quick listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just super great. And then I was excited to find out, I like accidentally, that I was like, oh, I'm seeing them because they were opened up for Surfboard.
Oh,
But
okay.
when I bought my tickets to see Surfboard, like I don't know that they even had anything listed of openers yet. So then, like when I was like getting ready to go to the show, I was like, oh my gosh, Smirk. They're one of my favorite albums of the year, and now I'm gonna see them. And they were so great live, really, really great live. And I talked to them like just a little teeny bit. They were really nice, and I bought a shirt, and of course I did them on the listener post. So yeah, I feel like it has just like a real old school, like when bands were just kind of making stuff in their garage and like pressing it on like a little local. It feels like very like when things were like real local, and like like in Cleveland you were putting out your records, and there was this, the Pagans, and things, just like really like great old fashioned kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty good description of them.
So I highly recommend people find that and listen to that if you haven't heard them. Smirk. I tried to do a Smirk when I did the photo with them, and I think I failed at the Smirk. I don't think I'm a good smirker, but anyway. What's next on my list? Oh, my next thing on my list is a compilation, and it is called Paid by Rock compilation, and is on the very awesome record label Girlsville Records. And it has a lot of bands on it. How many bands are on it? Like,
I see 14. Yeah, a couple I'm familiar with already.
Yeah, what were you familiar with from this?
I was familiar with Lithics and let's see, Funtime Objects. Thanks to you, I wound up buying that record.
Yeah.
And Star Party, were they kind of? That name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
I was not familiar with Star Party. I was familiar with Germ House, who are also, they have a tape on the same label as the Funtime Objects from a couple of years ago. And I think I was familiar with the band that's Adult Life. I don't know how to say that word. And I knew I liked them already. So this label is run by this really great woman, CJ Del Mar, and she loves really great music, and she just does a lot of cool stuff. And a lot of the projects on this label have been fundraisers for different things. And last year they put out a fun compilation called Be Gay, Do Crime, and that was really, really good, and just like all good stuff on this label. So I recommend everybody check out Girlsville Records. But this compilation is very varied, and that's part of why I like it, is that a lot of times with the comp you're getting all bands that sound the same, and on this one it's very, very varied. Like it starts out with like a 7-minute like kind of almost like techno-y punk synth thing, and then there's, you know what I mean, and then there's like punk, and then it just kind of like goes, Lithics is more like synthy punk, and then you've got that great cover of the Primitive song by Star Party, and Funtime Objects are my friends, so I have to full disclosure. I always talk about them, and that's okay because it's just what we love, and I love my friends, and they make great music. And that song, "Safety Been Stuck in My Heart," that's an old song. That's a redo, and that somebody, a real good friend of mine, put it on a tape for me like 2 million years ago, the original version, and it's just like a cool song that no one probably knows, and it's just cool that they like did this version, and their version is really great, and I love them. So yay for Funtime Objects, and yay for all these bands on this compilation.
Yeah, it's a lot of like. There's some demos on here, a lot of covers. There's that party mix on that first track. Like, it's a lot of different types of things. I guess it was kind of just like they asked for people to contribute to stuff that they kind of had around. And was this one meant to help raise money for something, or was this just?
This one, I don't think this one was, but. Yeah, the one that was out last year, Be Gay, Do Crime, that was a fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
It was a fundraiser for Prism Health, which is like it says that it's safe, compassionate, affirming primary and mental health care to members of the LGBTQ plus community. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I want everyone to run out and buy stuff from Girlsville. I just think they're a great label.
Yeah, I love a label that does this kind of stuff. Like, there's some other labels that I really enjoy that just like half the proceeds of whatever record would go to some charity. Like Get Better did a lot of that stuff too this year and last year, and I love when bands do that.
Yeah, and Catbite did that.
Yeah. Those the hardcore version and the what was the other version? The cowboy yeehaw version. Yeah.
Country version. Yeah, that was so cool. That's really neat. Gosh, how talented are those people in that band that they were able to like do all three different recordings. We've already talked about it, but I just have to say it again. So talented, and yay for them. So yeah, everybody should like check out the stuff, and they put out like stuff by the Coach Whips and like a lot of like older stuff, like unearthing some older stuff from like some older bands. So yeah, super cool. What's next on my list? I lost my list. I clicked away from my list.
So there's two more on the list before we get to your big one. So there's the next one you have is Brad Marino's Looking for Trouble.
It's a local show, which means nobody will go. But we'll try to have a good time if we can. The guest list spots are taken, but please don't be mistaken. 3 of them are girlfriends and the last one didn't show. The lights will still come on even if no one else is there. The show must go on even if the ones that do don't care.
So I want to talk about, I'd also like to mention in concert with Brad Marino, I do want to also talk about 2 other things just briefly, even though I know I didn't tell you about them and you didn't listen to them. So Brad Marino, did you listen to this at all?
I sampled a little bit of it, and I got a little bit of, like, some Ramones, some, like, Rolling Stones, some, 60s rock and roll, like, a lot of different sounds mixed in there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this one was going to be really, like, in your, like, zone of interest, because I think, it's, like, pretty, like, power pop is probably, like, the best, like, the best description of it. And the funny thing is, I'm not a really super huge power pop person. Like a lot of people in my life really are fanatic about power pop. I have things that I like, and then there's things that I just feel like sometimes I feel like power pop just doesn't have enough energy, and I'm like disappointed. I'm like, oh, I want it to be like faster.
Yeah.
But I think if we were like talking about like the best power popper of the moment to me is Brad Marino. And like compadres, like Jeff Palmer, who also put out a really great album this year, Charts and Graphs, and Kurt Baker, who the album came out last year, so that wouldn't count. But so those guys are like a New England power pop guys, The Connection, that band. And they have, all of them were involved in a lot of other bands together and different things. But I just think all of those guys are all doing this kind of music like better than pretty much anybody else right now. And I think Brad's album, I love like the jangliness of it, and I just love like it feels fresh, and it makes me feel happy, and I just, you know what I mean? It just, I like the sound of his voice a lot, and I think sometimes even like with power poppers, the sound of the voice is actually what I don't like. I like him because it's like, I know he's still like a punk rocker, and he's got like a little bit of a snotty.
Yeah.
Somewhere like in the sweetness, and I really like that a lot. Like that to me is what makes him like a little extra special too.
I wasn't familiar with him. I don't really even recognize the bands he was involved with either. But yeah, a little bit that I heard though, yeah, it didn't come across too like he was just trying to like directly clone, those earlier bands that he takes influences from. Like he definitely puts his own twist on them. It's
not like, oh, he just like it's not like he invented like this sound, but what he does with the sound, I think, is just really great. And it's like bubblegum maybe a little bit too. And I love that. I think, it's like garagey, bubblegum, power pop, punk, all those things. And I think it's just the right mix of all those things and I really appreciate it and enjoy it. And I like the production. I like the sound. You know what I mean? Like like it's like crystal clear. It feels clean. So it's not like garagey, like fuzzy, like dirty. It's like crystal clear. Like it just pops. And yeah, I just think he's great. And I also wanted to mention before we move on, he did a version of the Ramones Subterranean Jungle last year. And like a lot of bands do like all those Ramones albums. Yeah. And like I'm not like a super fan of like straight albums of other people's.
Yeah.
But his version of Subterranean Jungle is phenomenal. It is probably now my favorite of any of those Ramones like cover albums. It's just he just put like a really nice little like personal spin on it that like makes it like you're not like, oh, I'm just listening. I could just listen to the Ramones version. Yeah. Instead, it's like, oh, I actually will listen to this album on its own, and it's really good.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I think it was the Huntingtons did one of their Ramones cover albums this year, and it's like they've done 2 of those already, so it's kind of like, why are you doing another one? But whatever,
Like I said, this, take a listen. I don't know if you even know that much about that particular Ramones album, but yeah, he's just really neat, and I like the idea of him, and I like the idea of that there's like a whole little New England crew that all participates together in like his album. Jeff Palmer, Kurt Baker, all those guys. They just also seem like really nice people, and I like that too.
And were you able to find your list again, or do you need me to tell you what the last one?
So the last thing on my list before the last thing.
Yeah.
Is that called the penultimate thing?
Yeah.
Is okay. So listen, obviously, I love Kepi Ghoulie. So
right.
If Kepi Ghoulie puts out a new album, it's probably going to be on my list. And I don't think that's a conflict of interest in any way whatsoever, because I run his web store on my website. Because the reason I have his web store on my website is because I love him and I'm a super fan of his.
Right.
And I wouldn't sell his stuff. And if I didn't think he is wonderful. So Kepi released an album with Vic Ruggiero from the Slackers. And they often have recorded together over the years, and they've toured together. I've seen them perform together many times. And they had recorded stuff a while ago. So like some of this stuff has like been sitting around waiting to get released for a while. And it finally did, and it came out in like a really great packaging, and I love the artwork, and it's pretty blue vinyl. So all of those things are, you know, also add to the whole awesomeness of it. And you know, I'm always gonna love what Kepi does, and I like when they sing together. I like Vic reminds me. I love the sound of Vic's voice. Like I love that like New Yorky, Bronxy kind of Lou Reed feel of his. You know, when I hear him doing his thing, and yeah, it's just, I don't know what else to say, because like obviously everyone knows I love Kepi, and I'm wearing a Kepi shirt right now because it's Kepi Tuesday. So I don't know, what do you have to say?
Yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise. Like I remember when it got announced, I was like, oh cool, another Kepi record. And then like it's got a bunch of songs that, you know, you've heard from Kepi before, but they do them in this, I don't think I've ever heard him do it this like bluesy before, like they did on this record. Like right. It's all, you know, he did like country versions and, you know, his traditional versions too. And it's interesting to hear Kepi do like almost straight blues with this record.
Yeah, totally like bluesy rockin' kind of going on. Boogie woogie. Don't know about that, but yeah, I think that it's great, and you know, I think everybody should listen to it.
Yeah, Kepi's great. I love everything Kepi does. So yeah. Big supporters here.
So like I said, I don't really have to like get too down and deep into the nitty gritty. Just anybody listening to this, if you like Kepi, if you like Vic, you should have this record. There you go.
So the big
bum, bum, bum.
The main record you wanted to talk about. And I'm so glad that we are talking about it, because I actually held off from talking about it on the other best of recordings we've done. So I'm really looking forward to talking about this.
Okay.
So,
well, I will say that, like, by far the number one newest album that I listened to this year was the new album by the very awesome Muslims. Woo, yay. And the name of the album is Fuck These Fucking Fascists.
Fuck these fucking fascists, they can kiss our asses. I've been thinking about my whole situation. I know y'all believe that we're the ones who fucking fucked it up, but I know that it's just you who hate it. You can't blame me, darling, you can't shame me. Fuck these fucking fascists, fuck their family and friends. If they defend the fucking fascists, they can fuck off till they're dead. I've been watching you roll up.
I like this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sometimes I wake up with that song, that title track in my head. Like I just like pop out of bed and I just start singing.
It's a good mantra to wake up to, you know.
Yeah, I think so. Now this record, so anybody who doesn't know the Muslims, like the minute you stop listening to this, please go listen to them and find them and buy everything you can of theirs and support them and buy whatever it is that they've got. So this is their first vinyl release.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right. And actually, the vinyl, I only just got the vinyl, the record, in the mail just maybe like 3 weeks ago. But it was already released on their Bandcamp and on Spotify, before for many months. So I had been listening to it like crazy. Like every time a new single was released on Spotify, I was listening to it. They were my number 2 most listened to band on Spotify this year. And The Fall was my number 1. And almost all of the songs on the album were like in like my top 20 songs of the year. Like as soon as it came out, I just listened to it like nonstop, crazy. I can't say enough wonderful things about this band, and they were in my top 10. Their album Gentrified Chicken was my number 1 album last year.
Yeah, that was in my top 10 last year. It was probably like number 1, 2, 3. It's hard to say, a year ago. But yeah, they were definitely in my top picks last year too. And
so why don't you talk a little bit about it too?
Yeah, so I mean, I absolutely love that record. They were one of those bands that I was just like, oh, okay, more people need to hear this band. Like, this band is so good. Their lyrics are so smart and funny, and like really, really agree with a lot of it. And so, like, I was like, oh man, people need to listen to this band. I wish they put this record out on vinyl. And then they did this thing early this year where they were like, we're gonna put the album out online.
Right, and then they didn't.
And then it didn't show up anywhere. Like, it was just like, was this a trick? Or is there a record? Like, and then it was like months went by, and then they were like, okay, we're finally ready to tell you the story. They signed to Epitaph Records.
Crazy awesome.
Yeah, which is just like, wow, that is really smart of Epitaph, because they're kind of known for like a certain type of band, like
right.
Bigger bands who've been around maybe for a while, kind of glossier even. But then like this year they signed Soul Control? No, not Soul Control. Soul Control is another band. Soul Glow.
Soul Glow, the Lindas.
And the Muslims. Like wow, they're like
3 of my favorite bands right now.
Like 3 of the most like exciting new bands. Like, I mean, the Muslims have been around for a while, and so have Soul Glow, but they're getting a lot of attention. So like, I was shocked. My guess is they were ready to put it out, and maybe they got contacted by Epitaph before, and that's why they wound up not doing it. But
I don't know. And even though they were teasing us and fucking with us, I still love them. But yeah, I mean, like, right up off the bat, hands up, don't shoot, boom, right into it,
The whole record, like, what I love about their lyrics is like, they don't pull any punches. They don't try and hide like the message behind any kind of like flowery language. Like, they have this abrasive kind of like in your face approach to lyrics where it's just like, you're not going to mistake what they're trying to say in any of their songs. And they don't try and be eloquent either. Like, they just are like, this is what we mean when we say this,
Right. I mean, if you're gonna name your album "Fuck These Fucking Fascists" and that's the lead song that you release from it, like, exactly, what to expect.
And like the album cover is someone punching, Sid Vicious in the face and his eyeball flying out. Johnny Rotten. Yeah, sorry. Sid Vicious.
Yeah, exactly. And must say, fantastic art by Christy Road.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Like, as always, she's just a brilliant, super awesome artist and a wonderful person also. So yay that she's part of this too.
I think probably one of my favorite songs is Unity, which is kind of like
Yay! I wish I could sing, but that was my attempt at trying to sing their song Unity.
Like,
yeah,
it's
that
just,
song is just every word is just perfect.
yeah. There's they have all their songs too against police brutality and stuff, which I think is probably a bigger lyrical content on the last record, and this one was more about like politicians in general and kind of I don't know. This is just a really fun. How would you describe their music? I guess they're just kind of just straight ahead like hardcore punk, kind of like you'd see in early 80s almost, but just with like a new, cleaner, production.
I guess they call themselves like crunchy punk.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that definitely fits. I mean, are you ever gonna find a song with the title like John McCain's ghost sneaked into the White House and teabags the president anywhere ever again? No, you will not.
Yeah. Listening to this record, it made me think of like, you remember, I don't want to go back to that dark point, but during the 2016 election, one of the things that people were saying is, well, at least punk rock's going to be cool again. And it's like, okay, one, that shouldn't be what it takes, but
I remember the dumb sentiment.
But the Muslims were one of those bands who was writing that kind of music, like the kind of stuff that like people were expecting to hear during that time period. And then they turn around and come out with like their biggest record so far with, in the time period where, things were supposed to get better, like that kind of.
Right.
It reminded me of, how in was it California Uber Alles is singing about Jerry Brown?
Yeah.
And a lot of,
Jerry Brown was supposed to be like the good guy.
Yeah, right. And they were like coming for him right after Reagan had just left as governor, and like it reminded me of that. It was kind of like, yeah, because just because the good guy won, it doesn't mean that things have changed really,
Right. And yeah, and like I love like in Unity, like I love, like I love how they turn the catchphrase around. We will never forget, like how I mean, it's so simple and brilliant, like with these, these people that are like, we will never forget and the flag wavers and all that. And it's to me that is like super, super brilliant to get that in there. And then to follow it up with, what the fuck you did to us. Like, It's just great album. Perfect, really.
Yeah. Like, this is in my top, records of the year, probably top 10, just the stuff that I connected with the most this year, especially in heavier and harder music, was the really, like, politically, socially conscious type of stuff. Like, it was really singing home for me for most of my stuff. So this record, easily is way up there for me for the whole year.
Yeah. Yay. Maybe every year the Muslims will be my favorite album. They keep releasing new albums every year.
I'm so mad at myself. I almost had the chance to go to the record release show for this, and I didn't go because at my job, like, only in my department, only one of us is allowed to be off that day or like a day. And so like someone else was already off, and I'd probably called out kind of not long before. So I didn't want to like rack up a bunch of call outs. So I was like, okay, they're from North Carolina. I'll have a chance to see them again. And then I went to work that day, and the dude who had the day off was there. And I was so mad. I was like, why didn't you cancel it? I could have taken that day and I could have gone to the show last night. But now I had to be here at work mad that I couldn't go to the show because you didn't take your name off the calendar. Yeah.
Well, you'll get to see them. You'll probably get to see them before I do. I mean, I wish I've seen them already, but I know I'll see them eventually.
Yeah. I don't think they did any like real big touring this year. I think
I mean, everything's still funky.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep, we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some, I don't know, this year. Always hope it's going to be better, but never know. But
So yeah, that's basically like mentioned to you earlier. That's not necessarily like my top X whatever number albums of the year.
Right.
Those are, I mean, Muslims definitely is like my number one album of the year. But like these are just like things that I really enjoyed this year and really listened to. There were probably lots of other things that I forgot to talk about and didn't remember that also were enjoyable to me. There was a new Surfboard album that I really liked, and Shame had a new album, and I really liked the new Idols album. So, that's all good stuff too that I didn't get a chance to talk about. And I got to see Idols this year. They were really great. And I saw Surfboard this year and they were really great.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize like Idols, they were like around here and I missed it. Like there was like a period this year where like I just missed all the tour announcements. And like I could have gone to them, but for some reason
I managed to cram in 8 shows in like 2 months. So
yeah.
like I was okay. And I got to see Kepi this year and that was awesome. Yay, because I love to see him. And I also want to say maybe the best show of the year was the Lunatics reunion show. It was amazing.
Yeah, I went to one show and it was the one in DC, but it was a great show. It was Oceanator, Bad Moves, and Bacchae. So it was a great show.
Yeah, that sounds like a great show.
Yeah.
Oceanator played. They were on tour with I think We Are the Union or
with Jeff Rosenstock.
Or Jeff Rosenstock. Yeah, and I didn't jump on getting tickets fast enough, but then I think everybody got sick that was in that touring part. So I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, it sucks. I hope next year we're just like, man, you remember last year? It was horrible, but you never know. But let's hope 2022 is so much better for us.
Yep.
Thank you again for doing the show this year. We love having you on.
I love doing it.
We'll definitely have you back. We've already talked about our plans for another best worst episode. So.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But I'll definitely come back before that.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I want to talk. I want to have another funny episode where we disagree because I think that's really funny.
I wonder. Yeah, there's got to be something that's like real popular that me or Dylan doesn't like. So like, I feel like we should like try and find something like that because those are fun.
Yeah, like to me, the White Zombie was the funniest thing ever because I was stunned that you guys didn't like it. Because to me, it's like the greatest thing I ever heard. First White Zombie release, people ever. Nothing after that.
Yeah, especially not the Rob Zombie record that came out this year. Whew, that was.
I don't know anything about that. Yeah.
All right. Bill, thank you so much. Tell people where to follow you online, get records from you, and all that good stuff.
So the website is themachineshoprocks.com, and that's where my Instagram is also the same name, and Facebook is, I guess, the same name. Facebook is that the Machine Shop Rocks. And like I don't even use Twitter, so not even worth talking about that. But please follow me because I do fun things on social media, and I haven't run out yet, and I'm at like day 403 of my listen where posts. So it will come to an end eventually, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah. Then you can start repeating stuff. That's been your rule so far.
I gotta figure out what to do next. Okay, so yeah, come on, find us.
Well, thank you so much.